Hey all, welcome to this week's favorite collection video here at the CIOPCC. We're going to be going over Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel in the favorite collection today. If you watched my 1/6 scale horror favorite collection video, you'll have seen some of this collection, but this is going to be a fairly long video because there's quite a bit more than that, thanks to a number of companies doing some great product back in the day. So let's start with the Sideshow stuff. Of course, they did a 6 scale line. I really wish other companies would go as deep as these guys did with the line. I also wish somebody would pick up another Buffy 6 scale line. While it's a deep line, it isn't the best in the world. You'll notice that there are exclusives they did. The Lauren and Darla there in back, for example, had different costumes done for them. And some of the exclusives were simply different accessories. If an exclusive had distinctly different costumes, I picked up both versions. It's another Angel up here hanging out with the other vampires. If it had just an extra exclusive, or extra accessory, I just picked up the exclusive. I didn't need. She's keeping these guys in line over here. Willow's making sure the zombies across from her are taken care of as well. But I didn't need to pick them up if it just had an extra accessory. I just needed the one with the extra accessory, obviously. So here's a few boxes down here at the bottom that contain some of the costume variations. I also picked up some weird stuff over time. We've got a game down here on the bottom. But the 90s were all about mini busts, as you remember. And both Diamond Select and More Action Collectibles did a series of mini busts. The line has a few that I'm short of. There were some tail enders I didn't pick up. And there was a couple variations, like there's a couple variations of Lauren, as well as Spike, that I'm keeping my eyes open for. I'm not really a completist on these busts, but if I see them for a reasonable price, I'll pick them up. So let's come on up over to this side. Now over on this side, you're going to start to see the action figures. I have some of them down here, so we'll look at them from this angle. We'll catch the rest of them from the other angle when we get over on the other side. Up here on this shelf, there's two to highlight. One is the Andy Hallett Lauren Signature Edition, and to the left there is the Xander Nicholas Brendan Signature Edition. Those are both Diamond Select, of course. Plan B sculpted this terrific library playset. This is the boxed version. Don't worry, you'll get to see what a terrific playset it is again in a minute here. Around on the end cap here, we have some terrible 8-inch cloth costume figures. Diamond selected these. They're awful. And I'll open them up one of these days when I need the space, so they take up less space. But there they are for now. Down here, we have what Diamond Select would do with some of their figures. They did these unpainted test shots as exclusive to shows. And I have another backer card here, autographed by Amber Benson. I don't usually do autographs, but I met her at a con and she was a really sweet person, so I got her autograph. There's a nifty poster for the show. I said you would get to see the library, and here it is. You'll notice that I tried to get at least one character, one version of every character, at least the main characters in there, with a few of the somewhat less obvious characters as well. It's a great playset, just terrific. And I ended up with two of them because they went on clearance back when they made them. Can you believe that, considering how ridiculously expensive they are now? More Action Collectibles and Diamond Select both love the exclusive bandwagon. They did Toy Fair exclusives, the magazine. They did mail-aways. They did convention exclusives. Plenty of different repaints and figures they had released. So that's a lot of that first row. You can see the second row there. We got some Wesley's and a couple of the super articulated versions of Buffy and Faith. They did those when collectors were complaining that the line was fairly unarticulated. So they came up with a series of super articulated. course, fans complained about that too. Now, the Diamond Select and the More figures are very different in style and quality. Look at those god-awful glasses on Wesley. But they were the same scale, so I have them all together here. Speaking of exclusives, there's one that's a translucent yellow spike. They did a number of them that were in bags. I'll show you a few more of them here that they would do for conventions, especially for parties at conventions. Diamond Select always loved to have a party at like Comic-Con where they would give out an exclusive, or they would give them out at Toy Fair, the show for toy companies that they do in the winter. So here's some examples of that. These are some of the bagged exclusives they did. As I said, that yellow translucent spike was another one. So let's come down to the bottom here and look at some carded stuff. The more carded figures, you can tell the difference pretty quickly. The two accessory sets, you don't see those very often these days. I was kind of surprised I hadn't opened them up when I got them. When I pulled everything out of storage, they were still carded. I love the Demon Giles. And then this runs off to the other side there that we looked at earlier. Also down here in front are the Pals. So here's another company, Palisades, who took on the license, only they used it to do their minifigures. They used these Pals, which are like Mini-Mates, for a number of licenses, including X-Files as well. That sprue in the corner there, that's pre-production. That's what they look like coming off the manufacturing line before they were assembled, in case you were wondering. Kind of like the old models. And here on the post, we have a hard copy of both Willow, that's Buffy at the bottom there, and one of the Willow figures, as well as a Wizard World exclusive. Now, last but not least, come up here to the top, and you'll see we have 3 of the 4 large box sets. I have one more still to pick up. I'm waiting to find a good price on it. It's not impossible to get, so one of these days I'll pick it up. Keeping my eyes out. But like I said, I'm not a completist on the Buffy lines. I did end up with an awful lot of them, considering I'm not a completist. Let me know what your favorites are, what you enjoy about Buffy collecting, and we'll talk again next week.